Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to support DEI. That is diversity, equity, and inclusivity. You know why? Because this is the first time I saw the media do it. That everybody agreed that something is weird and we need to call it out.
Here's what Gary Shapley, who is the supervisor, the IRS supervisor, who came forward. This is what he says. I am alleging with evidence that the DOJ provided preferential treatment, slow-walked the investigation, did nothing to avoid obvious conflicts of interest in this investigation. Of course, this means that Congress is going to spend more time investigating what exactly happened behind the scenes at the Justice Department and at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware.
Hey, Evan, you know, one of the things yesterday is I was kind of following this throughout the course of the day. Some of the messages that were released, that were made public, or the allegations of certain messages, undoubtedly draw your eye and make you ask questions if you're not inside the investigation. What are these messages, and do you think that what the agents wanted, that there would be further investigation, is possible now?
Yeah, I think that's the major part of what their complaints are. Again, these are two agents who were very seasoned, and they've been following this investigation very closely for years, and they say they were not allowed to investigate very thoroughly some parts of this some parts of the evidence that they say pointed fingers at the sitting president, Joe Biden. And here's what Shapley said in this. There's a 2017 message that is purported to come from Hunter Biden to a Chinese partner that he's trying to get to pay him. And so this is what it says. It says, I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment has not been fulfilled. He goes on to say that essentially he will hold a grudge against whoever is not paying. And then he ends it by saying, I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Now, the importance of that is that, you know, Joe Biden has repeatedly said that, you know, he's never talked business, his son's business issues, with his son. And again, this is a message from 2017. Joe Biden was not president at the time. But the question is, you know, where was this message, and where was evidence like this thoroughly investigated by the FBI and the IRS?
Just got real.
And this is John Kirby. He seems to be like a fun guy, but he can't handle the pressure.
The House Ways and Means Committee yesterday released documents, their authenticity nowhere challenged. That included a July 2017 WhatsApp message sent by Hunter Biden to Henry Zhao, a Chinese Communist Party official, which stated in its entirety, and I quote, I am sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled. Tell the director that I would like to resolve this now before it gets out of hand, and now means tonight. And Z, if I get a call or text from anyone involved in this other than you, Zhang, or the chairman, I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father, unquote. So just a couple of questions about this. First, does this not undermine the president's claim during the 2020 campaign and the reaffirmations of that claim by his two press secretaries since then, that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with him?
No, and I'm not going to comment further on this.
We're good.
I'm not. James, let me save you some. Let me save you some breath. If you're going to ask about this, I am not addressing. I know you do more than I'd like you to have. I am not going to address this issue from this podium. I'm just not going to do it.
All right.
I'm not going to do it.
Where was the president on the date?
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Beta! President on the date.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Look at her face. Look at her face. That's a kid that just got some smacking from mommy. And she's like, Mommy, did you get all the energy out that you beat Big Brother? He's a man. I hope you got it out. Because I'm next. I think it's kind of weird that people are asking you questions about the involvement of your son in a way that they're using your status, which is the most powerful man in the world, and you're gonna be like, well, I didn't discuss it, but then they're still using you. Papa's in the office. What are you gonna do? We're talking here, so you know my father's last name. Maybe you dipped in something and now the people wanted you to dip in something and now they can control you, and maybe that's why they're making weird decisions that we never thought might be happening in the USA. It's kinda weird, and that got people's attention. Everybody went DEI. All the media suddenly were gonna agree. Inclusivity, let's go!
The president invited his son Hunter to the state dinner last night. I'm wondering if you could take us into the thinking and the decision-making of why the president decided to invite
I'm just not going to get into family discussion, personal family discussion. As you know, Hunter is his son. I'm just not going to get into it.
Let me ask you this. If Hunter Biden wasn't the president's son, would he have invited someone who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors 2 days earlier?
A couple of things. Again, that's his son. He's a family member. It is not uncommon for family members to attend events at the White House. You could look at past presidents. I'm sure you have. So that is not uncommon. As it relates to anything related to Hunter, I'm just not going to respond to it from here.
Can I follow up on that?
No, I just called in somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Curley wouldn't answer James's question, though. Are you going to answer the question? I mean, not a reasonable question to ask whether the President of the United States was involved, as this message seems to suggest, in some sort of coercive conversation for business dealings by his son. Is that something, if he wasn't, then maybe you should tell us.
So here's the thing, and I appreciate the question. I believe my colleague at the White House Counsel has answered this question already, has dealt with this, has made it very clear. I just don't have anything to share outside of what my colleagues have shared, and so I would refer you to him and the DOJ. Just not going to comment from here.
Text message.
What I can tell you is I know that my colleague has dealt with this. He addressed this at the White House Counsel. I just don't have anything else to share. I just answered the question. I just answered the question.
No, you didn't. Yes or no? Was the president involved in the shakedown attempt?
Stephen, I just answered the question. It's not up to you how I answer the question. I just answered the question by telling you my colleagues at the White House Counsel has dealt with this, and I would refer you to them. Go ahead.
Karine, can you just remind us what your colleague said from the White House Counsel so we have it?
I would refer you to them, and they will share their statement with all of you.
My question is about your statements from that podium. You've stated that the president stands by his comment from the 2020 campaign that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with his son. And you stood at that podium and you reaffirmed that. Do you stand by your reaffirmation?
What I will say is nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And I will leave it there. Anything else, I will refer you to the White House Counsel.
This is not a change?
I just answered the question. You just asked me, does my statement change? I just told you nothing has changed. That's answering the question. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The president was there 2 days
Go ahead,
prior.
Stephen. I'm calling on your colleague right now. Go ahead.
Thank you. To follow up on my colleague, is there anything that you can say with regard to this text message and what the president's son was alleging? Was the president there or not?
I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House Counsel. They have addressed this, and I refer you to them. Go ahead.
Karine, have you spoken to the president about this? Have you asked him whether he was there with his son on July 30th?
This is not a conversation that I've had with the president. Again, I would refer you to the White House Counsel.
Do you plan to have that conversation with the president?
No.
Did the president speak with the Attorney General at all
I
last
can't.
night at the state dinner?
I cannot say if the president had had a conversation with the Attorney General last night. What I can refer you to is the White House Counsel's office as it relates to the allegations. They've already addressed this. This is something for them to deal with. I refer you to the Department of Justice on anything else if you don't want to speak to the White House Counsel's office.
And there was reporting earlier in the week that after the plea agreement was reached by Hunter Biden, that the president felt relieved that that part of it was behind him. Is that true? Can you speak
I can't
to his
speak to that.
mindset?
I cannot speak to the president's mindset. Again, I would refer you to the White House Counsel's office.
No.
Rough on him now.
No, he needs to know.
Okay.
He's always crying.
Tough love it is. Tough love. Wake up, idiot.
I've never seen so many people call it out together doing the normal job that reporters are supposed to do. Back in the day, reporters were just annoying, asking questions over and over. I want the truth. And they might respond,
You can't handle the truth.
and those were the good times. But now you have people just say, well, we addressed it, or a specific party is going to contact you later, and we're going to address it from the White House view, and later we will find out in private, and hey, it's going to be okay. And even the guy just walked away. Like, I'm like, damn, you can't even handle a little pressure? So you have to use the black people? Okay, this is kind of weird. That reminds me back in the day when the new rules at Apple were coming out that I need to treat the customer like gold mines, right? As if they were the king. And whenever I said to my boss, hey, do you want to talk to this angry customer? He was like, no. And it pissed me off. But it was my job. It's her job. And she has that face. And when I saw that face, oh man. As a black person, oh man, I felt that energy. It's weird. It sucks. Nobody should be in that position for their job. I hate it. I hate it for her. And I'm sure she didn't want to be there. And she was surprised and uncomfortable. And it's the first time I saw her that unique. But I actually believe it's about the submarine that went underwater that supposedly exploded on the first day, but they extended it for some odd reason to 96 hours, so it might take so many years. Put the news consistently about this because this is happening and we don't want people to find out that this is happening. People already know. It's the internet. We're connected. We will find out today or tomorrow. We're still going to remember and maybe even hold a grudge just like Hunter.